to class. So welcome back to class. So in today's tutorial, I'm talking on how to make a pinafor dress. That's a gathered dress. All right, so this one is the fabric I'll be using. This is an stay, my chalk, my rule, tape and scissors. All right, so what do we need in this now? We need our shoulder measurements, we need our waist measurements, and we need the full length of our gown. All right, so now the full length of the gown I'm working with is 42 inches. That's the full length of the gown I'm working with. All right, so the full length of the gown I'm working with is 42 inches, sorry. So now, and the waist is 28 inches, then the shoulder measurement is 15 inches. So now the waist measurement, what do I do? I'm going to multiply my waist measurement by 3 inches to give me the length of, or the amount of fabric I need to gather. All right, so I'm going to multiply my waist measurement by 3 inches. Whatever I have, that is going to be my waist, the volume of material I'll be using. All right, then the next thing is my half length. My waist is my, now to get my half length, my under bust is 13 inches, all right, plus 3.5 inches, which is making it 16. So I have 16.5 inches for my half length. So, and the full length of my gown is 42 inches, that's plus the seam allowance. So I'm going to be deducting 16 inches from 42 inches. I'll be having 16 minus 40. I'll be having roughly 26 inches. That's what I'll be having. All right, so the 26 inches I'm having now is the full length of my gather. That's the remaining part of my clothes. So what do I do now? I'm going to multiply my waist by 3. Whatever I have, I'll cut it out. This is my 28 times 3. I'm having 84 inches. I added extra 2 inches allowance to it, making it 86 inches. So this is what I have. So what do I do next? I'm going to fold it like this. Remember, this is not my full length of my gather part. Remember, I'm still going to remove my 16 inches from my 42 inches. So I'm going to fold it this way. Then I'll show you what I did next. So I'm going to place it on the table now, then show you what I did. Alright, so the full length of the dress, remember I said is 42, Abby? So place your tape at 42. Remember your half length is 16.5. The 5 inches extra to it is the seam allowance. So my half length is 16 inches. I'm not working with this base, this yellow side. Let me mark it so I see it properly. So I'm removing this. So 16 now. This is my half length, where my half length is starting. Then 42. This is my 42 here. This is where it stops. Alright. So from here to here, this is my half length. So I'm going to cut it off. So this is what I have for my gather. All right. This is what I have for my gather. So I'm going to use a pin, a needle and thread to gather it, or you can decide to do pleating anywhere you want to do, but for this I'm going to be gathering the fabric. Then the next thing I'm going to talk on is the upper part of our dress, the pinafor part of the dress. pinafore part of the dress. We have talked on how to make the gather part, that's the skirt part, the down part. So now is the pinafore part of the dress. So I'm going to be using this piece of fabric, sorry, piece of paper. So what do I do now? I'm going to mark my half length, which is 16.5 inches. So this is my 16.5. all right. Then the shoulder, this is my start point, which is also going to serve as the shoulder. So now my shoulder is 15 inches. When I divide it by 2, I'll be having 7.5 inches. So I'm not going to be working with that 7.5 inch on the dot. I'll be deducting 1 inch from my 7.5. So my shoulder is now going to be 6.5 inches. So this is my 6.5 here. Then at this waistline, I'm going to divide my 6.5 by 2. all right. I'm not working with the 6.5 here. I'm going to be dividing it by 2. So my 6.5, this is my 6.5 on the tape. I have 3.25. that is what I have. So I'm going to place it here and mark it. Then I'm going to connect this is my 6.5 here to the 3.25 that I have here. This is what I have. Then the shoulder, this is where my start point is. The shoulder, the width of the neck is going to be 3 inches. That is normal neck width. Then the depth of the neck, you can decide to work with 3 inches, which is a turtleneck, or high neck. You can decide to work with 5-6 inches, depending on how deep you want it to be. So the depth of the neck is now your choice, what you want. So I'm working with 4 inches for the depth of my own neck. So this is 4 inches. Then I'm going to connect it. This is what I have. Then this is what the neck looks like. I will cut it out. I also repeat this on the material, the fabric, for easy understanding. All right. So I just want to show you this is what half parts of the front piece will look like. So let's work on a fabric so you understand more better. So that which we drafted on the paper, so let's do it on the fabric now for more understanding. All right. So this piece of fabric we have left. So now I'm going to place my material this way, or my fabric this way. Anyone. So what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to mark my shoulder measurements. The first thing to do is the full length of your half length. So my half length is 16. I'm marking it here. So the shoulder is 15 inches. Divided by 2, I'll be having 7.5. You deduct 1 from it, which is 6.5 inches. So I marked my 6.5 here. This is my 6.5. Sorry, I still have to adjust this. So this is my 6.5 here. Now coming to this waist line, now this is where I will insert my round waist measurements. The 6.5 I have, I'm going to divide it by, I'll be dividing my 6.5 by 2 inches. So using my tape, I'll place the tip to 6.5 here. I'm having 3.25 inches. So I'm going to place my tape here, 3.25. So this is where my 3.25 is. So what I'll do is just connect my shoulder measurements, the one I've marked here, to my 3.25 inches. So this is what I'll be having. Then I'll gently cut it out. Easy cutting it out. So this is it. Alright, this is one piece of it. I'll be using this to cut out another one that is going to serve as the back. So now, if you want to have a zip at the back of your pinafor dress, the only thing you have to do is you attach a zip, make provision for a zip allowance on the upper part of your dress. All right, and if you don't want to attach a zip to it, you can just cut it that way. Then what you have to do is you put a zip to the side of your skirt. So watch what I'm saying for better understanding. As in, you want to put a zip to your pinafor dress from the up, you want to put your zip at the back, just make provision for zip here. All right, that's from here to here, maybe 1.5 or 2 inches. Then if you don't want to put a zip to it, what you need to do is just cut out the same exact fabric. All right, now the choice is yours on what you want. You want a zip at the back, or you want the zip at the side of your skirt. Whichever one it is, it will still go, it's still fine. All right, now I want a zip at the back of my skirt, not the side. All right, so what do? I just fold this way and cut it out. So I've made some inches, some allowances. Let me say roughly 2 inches allowance for my zip. So I'm going to cut it out now. So this is what we have. All right, so what do we do next? Now the neck, we need to cut out the neck, we need to shape the neck. So the width of the neck is 3 inches. That is a constant for all neck, is 3 inches. Then the depth for the front neck, I'm working with 4 inches. You can decide to make it more deeper, like you can decide to maybe use 5 inches or 6 inches or 7 inches. The depth of the neck totally depends on you, but for this I'm working with 4 inches. I'm going to use my thumb tool and connect it. This is what I have. Then for the back neck, all right, that's one of the differences between the back and the neck. The depth of the neck is not going to be deep like the front of the neck, so the depth of the neck should stop at 2. 2 is okay. Anything higher than 2 may not come out nice. So this is 2 inches for the depth of the back neck. So I'm still going to cut it out. So I'll cut out the first. This is my back neck. I'm going to open up this zip allowance. Notches. Then for my front, I'm still going to cut out my neck. This is what I have. So I'm going to open it up. So when I open it up, this is what my front piece will look like. This is what my back piece, 2 back piece, will also look like. All right, so now I'm going to cut. I'm going to, remember I showed you an S-stay before we started, so this S-stay is going to serve as a stiffener for me, or you can still use material gum. So I'm going to cut this exact on this, then iron it. Also going to cutting the lining, joining the interfacing to the dress. This is my lining. All right, so now this is the upper part of this piece, the down part, the skirt part of it. So one thing you're going to do is you're going to hem the down part of it. All right, you're going to fold it in. Now this part, what are you going to do to it? You're going to get your needle, maybe a big needle or a smaller one. This one is a big one. Attach a thread to it, then use it and do gathers. You can decide to do your own pleating. Pleating in the sense, what I mean by pleating is this way. That's what I mean by pleating. You use your sewing machine to make a pleat on your fabric, all right, till the end, or use your needle. Remember you added extra 2 inches to this dress, so you move away 1 inch away from the edge, from the beginning here. Place your thread to make a gather. So this is it. Continue. Then for this dress, you can decide to maybe make the down part of your gown a straight cut skirt, or maybe a flare skirt. All right, but this one is just a gather. So this is me gathering the dress. So just watch what I will do. I'll continue doing this till I get to the end. So do I recommend a big needle, because most of the time it may be stiff, all right? So I think a big needle is more okay to go with a bigger needle. Yeah, this is more stronger than the light ones, the smaller ones. One thing with gather is it may take some time, but I think it's more better to give you the effects you want. Alright, so when I'm done, this is what I will have. Alright, now remember, I also want to leave some inches away from this end. This is where you attach your zip. Alright, so now this is what your gathers will look like. Do I still have a video on how to make gather? You can still go and watch. I still can watch it. So this is what I have. Don't worry, I'm still on a tutorial on how to remove these labels on materials. Alright. So this is what I have together. When you're done, you check if the waist measurement is corresponding with your own waist measurement. Now I have roughly 17 here. It's not, why my waist measurement is 28. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this to get my 28. All right, so I'm going to adjust. I'm going to adjust till I get my 28. That's one of the advantages of gathered to pleats. If it is pleats, you're going to lose it entirely and start from the beginning. But gathering, you have your needle and thread, so it's very easy. You just adjust it. So I have 24. Sometimes I still have extra 4 inches. So I'm still going to reduce it. So this is what we have. 25. So you keep adjusting until you get your waist measurements. All right, now we need a band for this dress, so I'm going to keep this aside. We need to cut a band. Our waist measurement is 28 and we added extra 2 for our zip, so we're going to be cutting a band. My band is going to be unfold. It's going to be 2 inches wide. You can decide to make it maybe 4 inches or 3 inches wide, depending on how bold you want it to be. Alright, the choice is now yours. How bold you want it to be. So let's look at this one. So this is what I have for my bag. So now I'm going to sew on this one first. Then we'll continue with the other part of it. So now this is my front piece, this is my back, one of my back. So I'm going to place it shoulder to shoulder. I'm going to join the 2 shoulders together. Then I'm going to bring my lining and also do the same thing I did here differently on a separate row. Like this is my main fabric, this is my lining. I'm also going to do shoulder to shoulder, remember. So this is the lining. I've joined the shoulder to shoulder. This is the fabric. I've joined it shoulder to shoulder. Alright, so the next thing now to do is to turn out this fabric or material, the main fabric, turn it out to the lining. So what will I do now? I'm going to place it this way, right side to right side. So now this is the back of our lining, this is the right side of the lining. So I will first of all, I'll first of all stitch the neck. Alright, so I'm going to close up this neck area now. I'm going to close it up, stitch it, then stitch the 2 sides of the dress. I'm going to run a stitch on them. So first of all, I'm going to close up this neck, then I'll show you what I did. On the sides to this place, the side here, the neck area and the zip allowance. So I'm going to just use my scissors and notch it round. Don't notch it close to your, stitches. try to not put your stitches, just little. So what do you do now? We need to pull out this other one. So remember there is still an opening here, so we're going to be using this now. Just put your hands inside and drag this anti out from there. It's coming out. So when you pull it out, you iron it. Alright, so now this other one, you do the same thing to it. Using the front side, please. So this is what I will have. This is what the upper part of my dress will look like. So you just give it a good press. Use your iron and iron it so that it will wrap very well. Alright, so now this is what the upper part looks like. Alright, you see our pinafor is forming already. Now this is our 2 inches band. Alright, so I'm going to notch the center of this band. Okay, remember we're working with a waist of 30 inches because we added extra 2 inches for the zip allowance. So 32 is 16, right? So I'm going to notch the center here. You can decide to put an interface into it to make it to use it as a stiffener. If you don't have, you can decide to work on it like this. So what I'll do is I'm going to place the front piece on it. I'm going to notch the front piece to the center point of my front. I'm going to hold it and notch the center. So this way. Sorry. Same thing I'll do to this other one. The band is long, it's not my required waist measurement, that's why I'm trimming it off. So just kindly notch the center. Now place this one this way. Place it this way. Then for the back, you place this to the tip here, this center that is here, that's why you place it here. Remember you added extra 2 inches for your seam allowance, so it's going to be at the center. So this will be here. And this will be here. So I'm using this pin to put it in place. So if I'm sewing it, it will not be too tedious for me to work on. Alright, just watch closely what I'm doing. So now the same thing I did to this other part, that's the same thing I'm going to do here. So this is what it looks like. Alright, so it's still untidy. So I'm going to run a stitch on it and show you what I did. This is what it looks like. It will look like I'm done stitching on it. This is where my zip allowance will be. Or this is where my zip allowance will be. This is where I'll put my zip. So now I'm going to stitch here and show you what I did. So I'm done stitching it inside. Alright, this is what the upper part of the dress looks like. So now I'm going to bring the skirt I've made. This is it. Alright, so I'm going to join it to this upper part of it. So just right side facing right side, then I will stitch on it and my dress is ready. But before then, I want to talk about another thing. You can decide to stitch it the first one. Maybe if you don't want to weave the clothes, you don't want to use an interlock machine to weave it, what you do is you stitch the first one, then use this other piece of it to top stitch on it, so that nobody will see where you stitched on. That is also fine. So the choice is now yours on which one you want to do. All right, so this is this. I'm going to run a stitch on it. Remember my zipper allowance, so I beg. So I'm going to do this. Close it up. Alright, so this is what I will do. So when I'm done joining the upper part to the front part, this is what it will look like. Alright, this is what it will look like. This is the inside. As you can see, I just used an interlock machine to weave it. It's very easier for me. Then hem the down part. Now the next thing to do is I'm going to put my zip allowance. So I'm going to hold this like this way. I'm going to mark from here, from the waist where this band is. I'm going to mark 8 inches down. That's where I'm going to put my zip is going to stop. Alright, I'm going to mark it. Just watch what I'll do. Remember, you made provision for zip allowance. So this is where my zip will stop. Then I'll close this up, insert my zip to it, and my dress is ready to rock. Alright, thank you so much for watching.